Somewhere in the vast, ungoverned waters of the Gulf of Guinea and the Indian Ocean, the concept of mercy dissolves in the salt spray. In these maritime badlands, armed Somali pirates and West African gangs stalk merchant vessels like wolves shadowing a herd. They are fast, desperate, and, in many cases, armed to the teeth with assault rifles and rocket-propelled grenades. For decades, the world's navies have played a game of cat and mouse here, arresting crews, prosecuting a handful, but leaving the core networks untouched. But one navy in particular has never been interested in playing by those rules. The Russian Navy does not merely intercept pirates, it removes them, sometimes from the battlefield, sometimes from existence. What emerges from years of whispers, leaked logs, and scattered eyewitness testimony is a doctrine that goes beyond deterrence. It is a campaign of eradication, built on 3 words: eliminate, erase, deny. The May 2010 Moscow University hijacking. The story begins on May 5, 2010, in the Indian Ocean, 500 nautical miles off Somalia's coast. The Moscow University, a 300-meter oil tanker hauling 86,000 tons of crude bound for China, cut a steady path through the swells. On board, 23 crew members carried out their routines until 3 high-speed skiffs appeared on the horizon. Within minutes, the skiffs closed in, armed men visible, their engines screaming. The crew knew exactly what they were dealing with: Somali pirates, likely operating under one of the well-connected coastal clans that financed hijackings and funneled ransoms into local warlord coffers. The tanker's defensive measures: water cannons, evasive zigzags, emergency flares, barely slow the assault. Boarding ladders clanged against the steel hull, and armed men swarmed aboard. The lockdown that bought time. The ship's master, Captain Ilar Akhmarov, had no armed security team. Instead, he executed the emergency lockdown protocol. He killed propulsion, sealed every hatch, and shepherded his crew into the vessel's citadel, a fortified compartment deep inside the tanker, stocked with food, water, and satellite communications. From inside the citadel, the crew could hear the pirates above, frustrated and searching. But they found no hostages, no bridge access, no way to force the ship to move. The hijacking had turned into a hollow victory. Akhmarov's satellite call did not go to local coast guards or allied patrols. It went directly to Russian Navy command. Enter the Marshal Shaposhnikov. Within hours, the Marshal Shaposhnikov, a 6,200-ton anti-submarine destroyer armed with missiles, CIWS cannons, and 2 K-27 helicopters, was steaming at flank speed toward the last known coordinates of the tanker. The Shaposhnikov's crew were veterans of multiple anti-piracy deployments. But this mission was different. There was no escort duty or deterrence patrol here. The intent was decisive force. At dawn on May 6, with targeting information from an Australian surveillance aircraft, the Shaposhnikov launched a K-27 helicopter loaded with Russian Marines. As it approached the hijacked vessel, the pirates opened fire, a fatal error. The helicopter's gunner responded with 12.7mm machine gun fire, cutting down an armed pirate on deck. With confirmation from Captain Akhmarov that his crew was safe, the Russians escalated. 2 100mm naval shells slammed into the water near the tanker, a final warning before fast attack boats carrying Marines raced forward. Boarding and capture. The assault was swift and overwhelming. Russian Marines boarded from multiple angles, engaging in close-quarters combat that lasted minutes. Faced with professional naval infantry, the pirates will collapse. Most dropped their weapons and surrendered. The crew was freed unharmed. On paper, the operation was a model of precision. No civilian deaths, minimal damage, and all pirates captured alive. What happened next is where the official story ends, and the darker one begins. The Vanishing 11. According to Moscow's public statement, the captured pirates were placed in an inflatable boat, given food and water, and released into the open sea, more than 500 nautical miles from land. No compass, no GPS, just the horizon. They were never seen again. The Russian Ministry of Defense maintained they likely perished at sea. Somali officials accused Moscow of extrajudicial execution. Human rights groups issued condemnations that faded quickly from the news cycle. Privately, naval insiders paint a more complex picture. Leaked testimony from former crew members suggests the pirates were interrogated aboard the Shaposhnikov for hours. The aim was not prosecution. It was intelligence gathering. One captive allegedly revealed the coordinates of a pirate staging camp on the Somali coast. Less than 24 hours later, a precision strike, possibly from a Russian drone, obliterated the site. Moscow denied any involvement, but satellite imagery and the timing told a different story. The silent disposal doctrine. Declassified logs later revealed that the Shaposhnikov's crew tracked the released pirate's inflatable for 8 hours before the signal vanished. Some accounts mention a submarine surfacing nearby. Whether the men were taken aboard, executed at sea, or simply left to drift remains unknown. Inside the Russian military, the message was unambiguous. The Russian Navy does not detain pirates. It removes them. This approach was never formally admitted, but it laid the foundation for what insiders would later call the Kulakov Manual, a classified set of anti-piracy protocols that transformed Russia's presence in high-risk waters. Fast forward to 2021. By 2021, piracy in the Gulf of Guinea had surpassed Somali waters as the most dangerous in the world. Ships transiting West Africa faced a constant threat of hijacking, often ending in kidnapping for ransom schemes. On one patrol, the Vice Admiral Kulakov, another Russian destroyer, intercepted a distress signal from the Panamanian cargo vessel MSC Lucia. The Lucia was being stalked by a pirate skiff in the middle of a tropical storm, rain hammering the deck, lightning flashing over heaving seas. The storm intervention. Despite the chaotic weather, the Kulakov launched the K-27 helicopter carrying a full marine assault team. As the Russians closed in on the Lucia, something unexpected happened. The pirates turned and fled. No shots were fired. The reputation of the Russian Navy, forged in operations like the Moscow University Rescue, had preceded them. The pirates didn't test their luck against the force that made its name on zero-tolerance encounters. The Marines landed, swept the ship, and found the crew hiding in the engine room. The rescue was completed without a single casualty. Fear as a weapon. In the days that followed, the Kulakov remained on escort duty in the region. Several suspicious vessels vanished from radar as soon as the destroyer appeared on the horizon. Intercepted pirate radio transmissions revealed commanders warning each other to cancel operations entirely when the Russians were present. Official records list multiple pirate boats as weather-related losses during Kulakov's 4-week deployment. Naval insiders whisper another explanation. Silent disposal. No arrests were logged. No survivors reached port. The Kulakov Manual. Following the 2010 incident, Russian Naval Command quietly distributed a classified anti-piracy doctrine, the so-called Kulakov Manual, across its blue water fleet. Its details remain sealed, but Western and Chinese intelligence services have reportedly sought access to it. According to sources, its principles emphasize preemptive engagement, striking before pirates can secure hostages, psychological warfare, cultivating a reputation so lethal that contact alone forces retreat. No loose ends, ensuring that captured pirates cannot re-enter the trade or share intelligence on Russian methods. Plausible deniability, maintaining official narratives that allow Moscow to deny lethal actions while reaping the deterrent effect. The results are hard to dispute. Pirate attacks on Russian-escorted ships are virtually non-existent. A different kind of deterrence. International coalitions have patrolled piracy hotspots for decades, often with limited success. Pirates are arrested, tried, sometimes imprisoned, but the networks survive. Ransoms continue to flow. Russia's approach, by contrast, treats piracy not as a criminal issue, but as an enemy combatant problem. In Moscow's logic, pirates are not criminals to be prosecuted. They are hostile operators to be neutralized. It's a method that shocks the legalist sensibilities of Western democracies, but has proven brutally effective. As one European naval officer put it privately, "We operate under law. They operate under outcome. When the law ends at the shoreline, in ungoverned maritime zones, the gap between law and enforcement becomes a chasm. Into that space steps power, and in the Gulf of Guinea or the Horn of Africa, power often wears a naval uniform." The Russian Navy has embraced that vacuum. From Somalia to Guinea, its operations have sent a message in salt water and gunpowder. The law will not save you. The sea will not save you. We will not forget. The Ghost Fleet Effect. In piracy circles, the fear of encountering Russian warships has taken on a near-mythic quality. Boats vanish. Crews disappear. Survivors don't talk, if there are any. Satellite analysts note patterns of sudden vessel disappearance in patrol zones coinciding with Russian deployments. Whether these disappearances are weather, mechanical failure, or deliberate action is left to speculation. That uncertainty is part of the deterrent. Pirates now face a simple equation: attack the wrong ship, and you don't just lose the payday, you lose everything. Brutal clarity. The dark logic of maritime deterrence is simple. Fear lasts longer than prosecution. Russia has turned piracy, in its patrol zones, from a high-risk business into a suicide mission. It has done so not through international courts, but through a willingness to operate in the shadows, to eliminate threats without leaving a paper trail. For some, this is an outrage, a violation of law and human rights. For others, it is proof that piracy can be defeated if the gloves come off. What's undeniable is that the Russian Navy has changed the rules of the game. In the lawless corners of the world's oceans, where the law ends at the shoreline, power fills the void. And in that void, Russia operates with a kind of brutal clarity that turns pirates into ghosts. If you want more video stories into the world's most shadowy naval operations and the battles fought far from the headlines, hit that like button and subscribe. Stay informed, stay alert, and remember, out here, the sea forgets, but the story never should.